Hi, welcome to the Unit 3 quiz review for Economics Semester 1. We are going to go over some of the topics that are covered on this quiz as well as one of the essay questions. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to succeed on this quiz. So let's take a look at the quiz topics. These are the terms that you should review. You need to go back to the lessons and you need to review these if you are not familiar with them. And even if you are, it's always a good idea to review just for something you may have missed. So for example, we have price. Price is a topic, so make sure that you know the definition of price and make sure you know the definition of all of these and be able to give an example. So we have price, equilibrium point, equilibrium price point, which is a little bit different than the equilibrium point. We have supply, demand, surplus, shortage, product elasticity, law of supply, the law of demand, and how price changes affect supply and demand. So any of these topics can be reviewed before you take the quiz and should be reviewed. Just go into Unit 3 and you can look at any of the folders. And for example, right here it says what are supply and demand. So if you want to use this as a notes page, you can copy and paste the definition of supply and demand on here. So for example, I will just cut and paste it. And this is cutting and pasting for notes only. You should never cut and paste for any other reason. All right. All right, so you have created a notes page with this. And again, you can go into any of the lessons and check out the topics. So here we go. Here's equilibrium. So this talks about, 3.2 talks about equilibrium. Make sure that you review the graphs and that you understand them. And if you do not, please contact your teacher because it's very important that before you move on to other parts of economics, it's a lot like math where it builds on the previous lesson. So it's very difficult to keep going through the class if you're not quite understanding the topic. So if you're not understanding these graphs, make sure that you do talk to your teacher about them. Here's elasticity, incentive, and profit. So this covers another one of the topics, complementary and substitute goods. So you can see that you can go back and you can look at these topics and take notes on them and be able to define them and give examples. All right. So use this review to take notes, like I just said. Review the Unit 3 lessons and any of the activities that you have done. Redo any low-scoring work, and I recommend redoing anything below a 60% because if you're scoring below 60, it means that you are not mastering the objectives, which means that you're going to have a hard time moving forward in this class or even passing the final exam. So redo any low-scoring work. Check your answers on those activities before taking the Unit 3 quiz. So go back and look at what you missed. Review what you missed and ask your teacher for help if you get stuck. So you can reach out to your teacher. If I'm your teacher, Mrs. Gonzalez, you can reach out to me through any of the methods listed on your dashboard: chat, text message, phone call, email. So yeah, make sure you get a hold of your teachers if you're not quite sure about what something means. And then these questions will be on the final exam. So I can tell you that the final exam consists of the questions from your unit quizzes, and those unit quizzes consist of questions from your activities. So do well on all those and you're going to do great on the final exam. And once you take the unit quiz, and let's say you scored great, you can move on. If you want to retake it again, you're more than welcome to. But if you scored below 60%, please redo the quiz. Make sure that you get a good grade and check what you missed before redoing the quizzes or assignments. So check to see what you missed. That way you can learn from your mistakes. All right, so here is the sample question from the Unit 3 quiz. It is a very short essay, and by short essay I mean we're looking to see if you have mastered the content and not necessarily how an essay flows. So we're looking for content here. So the question is, what is the difference between complementary and substitute goods, and give one example of each. So this is a two-part question. The first question asks you the difference between complementary and substitute goods, and basically you need to be able to define them before you can compare and contrast them. So what is a complementary good? Make sure you look that up. And what is a substitute good, and how are they different? Next, you need to give one example of each. So in the lesson, you will actually be able to see that there are examples. So if I were to go here to complementary and substitute goods, it defines it, and then it also gives an example of a substitute good is, let's say Starbucks here. So you need to not just say Starbucks, but you need to give an example of how Starbucks is a substitute good. And a complementary good, we talk about hamburgers and buns, demand for buns going down. So make sure that you review those lessons. If you have any additional questions, please contact your teacher. Have a great day, and we hope you do great on this quiz.